Hello, lovely people. This is Nicole.
And this is Samantha.
With the power of we are here to switch it up and teach you about business, relationships, and how to not only survive, but make it in Los Angeles.
In each episode, we will have top influential guests from the world of real estate. We work hard,
We stage hard.
and we get it done.
The power of we. Samantha, how are you doing on this beautiful afternoon?
Amazing. Did I tell you what's happening?
Tell me, and please don't cry.
Oh, I'm always crying. I'm going to be the judge on the Home Staging Association in the UK. Check mark. I'm
UK
so proud of myself.
and Ireland. That's literally the most incredible thing ever. How does that feel?
It feels like a bucket list. Checked off. I mean, I can remember sitting with you and Camilla and Stacia, and we were writing our dreams of what we wanted to do, and this was part of it. It's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember when you started the staging company from taking furniture out of our house when I was like
Don't tell anybody.
So it's so incredible to see everything you've done.
I know.
And we have a hustler here today who I'm so
Thank
excited
God.
to introduce.
We love hustlers. Let's bring them on.
Brian Lane is the director of Madison oh my God. Can
Residential.
we cut that? Okay, I'm going to start that again. Brian Lane is the director of Madison Residential, the residential brokerage arm of Madison Partners. He is one of the nation's top producing real estate agents under 30 years old. Welcome, Brian!
Woo!
Thank you guys so much for having me. You guys are a dynamic
God. You are insane. First of all, you're 23. Let's get something started.
I turned 24 last week, but Sam, thank you
Well,
so
happy
much.
birthday!
Happy
close.
birthday. Oh,
Thank you.
I turned 27 that last week, too.
There you go. 3 more years to the 30th.
Right?
Yeah.
So how are you today?
Great. We're alive, having a good time. You know, we also live in a beautiful city. The weather's fantastic.
Wait a
I can't really
minute.
complain that
I'm
much.
just realizing you're a Libra.
That's right.
No
That
wonder
makes
when
so
you
much
called
sense.
me that day and you're like, straight to the point, wanted to get my attention because you didn't like something. I was like, I like this guy. I'm going to go out and see what he has to say.
Yeah,
Remember?
sometimes you just got to be straight to the point.
I love
I don't
it.
really know how
Me
another way
too.
to be. So it's
Me
like,
either.
Yeah, you guys got that in common for sure.
yeah, your mom's really good about it.
Yeah.
People enjoy that, though, you know?
Yeah.
No beating around the bush. No waste
Honesty.
time.
I know Nicole has a million questions.
Of course, of course.
I know your mom also throws you under the bus in this podcast a
Wants
little
to
bit.
do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've heard it
Yeah.
a couple of times. It makes me laugh.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy you're here. I know we met through work, and we have so many mutual friends, which is crazy.
Yeah, small world.
Yeah, but when you told me your story, you know, when we were sitting at that house in Beverly Hills, it just really hit me, and I was like, you have to come here because your story is one of the most inspiring things I've heard in a long time, and I truly look up to you. So
Thank
just
you
so
so
know.
much. I appreciate it.
But yeah, so how did you get into real estate so everyone can
Oh yeah, it's a pretty long story. I mean, you have to go back to when I was 11 years old is when I first realized that I wanted to be in more of a relationship-oriented role.
Yeah.
And I would go around the neighborhood and I would like first I started by mowing people's lawns, and I was doing really well just by getting business through door to door, you know, just hustling really for whatever task it was that someone needed. And then I transitioned the door to door hustle to repainting people's curbside addresses. So I was like 14 with this little stencil kit running around the neighborhood, and
And did you make money?
I was making a shit ton of money. Excuse my language. but
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of money.
That's
So I
crazy.
could do like between 40 and 60 bucks an hour. And where I grew up in a really troublesome background.
And where'd you grow up?
In Sacramento.
Okay.
Lived in a tough area of it. My siblings and I were in and out of child protective care. I was the oldest living in the house at the time, and I've always just like I can't sit still to begin. So through the door-to-door knocking for mowing people's lawns,
Right.
I then transitioned the personable skills I guess I learned at a young age into repainting people's curbside addresses. And I would just run around with a stencil kit, and I was able to make like 40 to 60 bucks an hour. And I'm like 14, living in a really
crazy.
tough house, really tough.
Were you
environment.
helping take care of your siblings?
Yeah, well, we were taking care of our siblings. Our mom was incapacitated and our dad was gone.
And how did you like use that mindset to go positive rather than, you know, a lot of people can't do that. Like they just kind of start using drugs or alcohol. So what was it in you that was like, I need to take care of this and I need to make money and I need to get somewhere?
That's a good question. I have had a lot of responsibility because I had younger siblings. Being that our mother was incapacitated on super hard drugs, or she was like beating the shit out of us.
Yeah.
I mean, you really only have one choice, And at the time, I turned to food, actually. I was extremely overweight, and that was my way of, kind of dealing with that up until I was about, say, 13, once I fell in love with business. And that's kind of what I got addicted to from there. I have very addictive tendencies. I'm very narrow focused on things. But I found that, that the difficulties that I endured, they taught me lessons that you can't buy that can apply really well into certain businesses. Yeah. So I chose to get addicted to that instead.
That's incredible. I mean, listeners, if you're listening, listen. He is so young, and he started very young. And I really think that you really believed in yourself.
Yeah, that's a big portion of it.
You know, believing in yourself is so key. I tell my team all the time, walk in with confidence. And there's one thing, honey, you have, and that's confidence.
Well, I also want to give credit to where credit's due. And there was certain friends of mine's parents or certain teachers at schools. Yeah. Like the dean of my high school, he used to hit me in the back of the head. Like he would a little bit physically abuse me, but in the most like productive way possible, because he knew I was going through a lot. He knew I was like kind of out. I was out of my mind in high school. I would get in trouble all the time. Yeah. So I just couldn't sit still, and I was goofing off. Yeah. And I was going through a lot. Yeah,
of course.
So, but he took a liking to me, and he helped me in ways that on the surface may seem like, oh, that's not right, but he knew what he was doing. I think he had been through something similar. And that he continues to go out through the rest of my life. I mean, we met through someone that we both work with now who has been a huge impact in my life. I mean, he has changed the way I look at having a family, look at having children, and those are lessons that I wasn't taught. Because when you grow up in, I mean, to put it pretty straight, a crack house, it's not like people are teaching you much. Right. So there have been individuals who I have got here because of. Bob Safai is one of them. Alex is one of them. And there's multiple other people who have guided me along the way.
I'm glad you brought that up. Do you think that's an accident, or do you think these people have been put into your life?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I mean, luck is preparation meeting opportunity. People say it all the time. I met Alex and Bob at the same house that you staged.
Oh, wow.
And
that's incredible.
I know, it's a small world, right?
We're all great people.
I showed up to that house every single weekend to show that house for over a year while going to school full time and having a good time,
How did you do that? Let's just back up. How did you do that? Because that's a lot.
Yeah, so to get back to how I got into real estate to begin. So I'm door knocking properties for curbside address painting. I'm killing it. I started a pressure washing business in addition to that. Nice. I also realized people think being young is like, it makes things more difficult. I find them to make things a lot easier. People see me as less of a threat. So if I'm knocking on your door versus a 45-year-old dude knocking on your door, you're probably going to answer the little white blonde kid. And that's just a factor of how the world works. So when I was younger, I realized I could talk to anybody. And now it's become like I really just believe I can talk to anybody. And sometimes it puts me in positions where it's, maybe I shouldn't have tried, but whatever, I tried. The regret would have killed me more not doing so.
Yeah, that's true.
So basically I translated the door knocking for curbside address painting into residential real estate in the Silicon Valley, which is about 2 hours away from where I lived. I had been connected with someone who was big in real estate there, and since I wasn't licensed at the time, I mean, it's more than 4 years. They can't get me in trouble for this, but I would just drive down. I would drive down on the weekends in high school. I'd live in my car for about 2 years, and I would just door knock and hold open houses at 16 and 17. And I would just invite all the neighbors over to the open house. They would come by. I would just have a casual conversation with them. I wasn't trying to hustle for business or make something happen immediately. That's not who I am. It's always been about longevity. And built relationships over time that quickly translated into me making a lot more money than I could have imagined at that age. And now I'm 16, 17, living in my car, and I'm making a bunch of money after having gone through all this really traumatic events and thinking, wow, I could literally do anything. Yeah. I mean, that's probably not true, but I do think that for some reason.
I
mean, I do think that if you really want it.
You're telling your story, but to listeners out there, he actually lived in his car and did the walk, did the talk every single day. That's serious dedication.
True dedication and motivation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I try and get my girls to make 20 calls a day, and it's like beating them over the head.
I still fail at that too. We're all human beings. Life's a roller coaster.
What gave you that determination? What was it inside of you that you would think to yourself, or something that really drove you? What motivated you?
I don't know. I wanted it so badly. I always have. I always felt like I didn't feel like it was ever fair growing up, and being treated how I was at home, and then feeling like I had capabilities that I wasn't having parents to nurture. And I always felt like I was always so frustrated because, you know, when you have parents that have good oversight over you, they don't just, you know, send you to they provide you tutors, right? They help you learn lessons so you do better on tests.
Yeah.
And I just never got that. But what I did have was like, I've been through a lot of really difficult situations. Well, not even just pain. I don't think it's the pain. It's like the lessons you learn when someone is really drugged out and trying to abuse you. You learn how to maneuver situations at a really young age. So I really learned how to work with people, and that's the most extreme of someone's personality that you're going to have to deal with. So when you learn that at 9, 10, and 11, how to avoid from getting punched in the face, like, it's not that hard to get someone to sell a house.
You know? That's a good point.
That's kind of what I think.
That's crazy. Oh my God. I
so
mean,
then you put
seriously.
yourself through school.
Yeah, so then I worked in real estate in the Silicon Valley for a couple years. I was 16, 17, living in my car for a long time. That was super lonely, but what it also taught me is that nothing fucking matters. And like nothing that anybody says matters or what you do matters. I was living in my car and I was still pulling big business. So like nothing really mattered on the surface. So then I really wanted to go to USC because I knew that if I went down to LA, through the USC network, I could develop relationships that inevitably translated into real estate transactions. But more so, I went there like with the thought of having a family. The people that I work with today, and you've seen it through my relationship with Alex, these aren't clients. These are just like family members of mine.
Exactly.
This is like what I have. Right?
It's all about connection.
Yeah. And the guidance that he's giving me. And those type of
He's
people.
incredible. He's giving you a lot of guidance. And I try to do that with my girls as well. But his energy is very pure.
Very.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find
that's very lucky that you found that.
Yeah, I know. Very lucky to have him in my life.
Well, you know, I guess, you know, so many young people today want to get into real estate. What would be your best advice to them or to our listeners? Tell
That's
them
a tough question.
Because everyone's trying to get into real estate.
I guess everybody's trying to get into real estate, but I would not get into real estate unless you really love the relationship aspect of it. I mean, that's all it's about. It's much about, like, if you have a certain level of just sophistication in general, you can figure out what assets are worth. It's not that difficult. It's not that complex. But in order to get to sell something at the highest price or to find someone the best deal, you have to love that person and love the business so much that you work and you love houses and the purpose that you're doing it for so much that you work so hard to get there. I mean,
because you're almost a therapist sometimes, I'm sure.
Yeah. Or explain to people, hey, this is not real. You're not going to ever find this.
Yeah.
But having the wherewithal to explain that because you understand the market, but also wanting to serve this person needs the best and knowing they need to hear this.
And this is a tough market. You're in Los Angeles. You're not in other markets like Oklahoma or, you know, other small areas. This is the most expensive real estate. You're dealing with people that want the most and expect the most.
Right.
And so, I mean, I've seen it all in the 15 years I've been doing it. They all think they can have everything for free and
never been told no.
And never told no. And it's like, hello. So how do you deal with that? Don't they always want to negotiate with you?
Well, you know, when you represent a client, you want to represent the best interest, right? So you're really, I have fiduciary responsibility to get them the best deal or have the best outcome for what they've provided, what information they've shared with me. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I can't do anything but just be directly honest. If I just tell, like if you just talk pretty much completely unfiltered about what the situation is with the seller, let's say you're representing a buyer in this case, what the situation with the seller, what their financial position is, what their motivation to sell. You don't sugarcoat anything, but you say, hey, here are the facts, and this is what we think our best route to get you the best outcome here is, using the information that we have. And as long as you just tell the truth and the whole truth, you really can't get yourself in a bad position.
And that's what I liked about you because, you know, you use staging companies, which we're clearly a staging company. And one of the things I like is I'm very straightforward, and so are you. But I'm like, okay, what is it that you need? What do you want? And you were like, if you do this, this, and this, you'll get the deal. Perfect. If you're a realtor, please just be upfront and honest. We'll try and figure it out. If we can do it, we'll do it. If we can't, we can't.
At this point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, and just because you sell a bunch of houses, don't build a huge ego. That's the biggest issue that I'm finding.
Oh my God, amen to that.
Yeah.
The largest ego there's the largest
Especially
ego in residential
realtors.
real estate for people selling someone else's asset. That's what I don't
Right.
understand. You have a
That
responsibility.
is a great point. That's a great point. Speaking of that, I think Nicole was telling me how much real estate you've sold. That's seriously impressive. Would you like to tell us?
Yeah, I mean, somewhere probably. I wouldn't say I have sold. I would say we have sold because again, I haven't gotten here without certain individuals.
of
At
course.
first,
I love
that's the truth though.
That is amazing. Listeners, did you hear that? Please say that again.
I would not have gotten here without certain individuals taking kind to me and giving me an
I can cry.
opportunity.
This is like amazing. You're really insightful.
Well,
I
it's
love
just
it.
truth.
It's great.
If I said I sold $200 million in real estate, it'd be
Yeah.
complete bullshit.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there was, like, aside from the transaction coordinators and the other people that actually helped me get there, and the Alexes of this world who
Right.
provided me the opportunity,
Right.
Bob Safai has done everything for me. You know,
Yeah.
he's really given me a shot. And
believed in
guys
you.
like him. That's who I owe it all to, really. So I would say Bob's transacted over $60 billion in commercial real estate, and he
That's
is worth
incredible.
a silly amount of money, and he still spends time with me and has given me an opportunity that I'm forever grateful for. And he does not need this. Trust me, he does not need this,
Right.
but he does it because
He wants to teach you.
yeah, he provided
And
me an
it's
opportunity,
important,
and
you
I'm
know?
forever grateful to him. So I would say we have sold $200 million about $200 million in real estate in the last 2.5-3 years, in residential real
It's
estate.
incredible.
Well done.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing.
appreciate it.
Seriously. I mean, growing up the way you did, and
How does it feel to like be here now and to be sharing your story and to just like kind of
Does it
remember
feel real?
everything?
I thought I would have done way better this year, honestly.
oh, you're one of those.
I still do. I still do.
You're like
Why you're
me.
successful,
No,
Must
no.
be a Libra thing. Because I'm like, why am I not at this? Why aren't you guys selling more?
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, yeah, it's great. Trust me, it's fantastic. But
So what do you do with all that money?
I don't even make that much. I mean, come on. There's a lot. We pay a lot of taxes. We live in an expensive city. What I do with that money is I'm really playing a longevity game.
Yeah.
Like I'm 24 years old. If I just continue to do the right thing by my clients,
Yeah.
I may not even have to go find other people to work with because the referrals that
that's the
come
goal.
from treating someone so correctly. And I'm not saying that I have enough clients to just feed me referrals, but my point is if you really treat them that well, they'll run around and shout your name louder than you can.
Nicole, can you
100% right.
please repeat that for the listeners and our team? What'd he say?
This is the throwing under the bus thing I was talking about.
Treat your clients right.
She does,
Stay
she
with
does.
them. No, she
Yeah.
does.
She does.
they're all amazing, my team. But
Yeah.
sometimes we forget to do these things. But
I mean,
you're
that's
saying
like
all
one of
the
the
right
most
things.
important things in business that I've learned is just
Yeah.
the relationships you have with your client because that gets you everywhere.
100%.
Yeah,
And that's why
all
you
it
get
is.
so many referrals.
That
mean,
they'll be
yeah.
your biggest advocate. period.
100%.
And referrals. I mean, I still get referrals, and I haven't staged in forever. But it's just so nice to.
She owns the company.
herself.
I know, but I get referrals because they think I'm gonna do the staging. You
Yeah.
know, they've used me. I mean, I am aging myself a little. Okay,
Little
Brian,
bit,
calm
geez.
down.
I hope they don't watch
No, I hope they
I'm
do.
just kidding. I hope they do.
Yeah.
It's because I make sure everything goes smoothly, and if not, I will beat them up. No, I'm just kidding. No, I love everybody in my team, and it's so great to have someone like you on here.
I
You
appreciate
know, it's just so different. So, okay, we see what you do for business. What do you like to do for fun?
I really like to work a lot. That's all I kind of think about because the more and more that I work, the better and better my life gets. Like
Yeah.
every single year.
Yep.
So to me, it's like, what do you like to do a lot? Well, I like my life getting a lot better.
Yeah.
That's what I think. But,
Yeah.
it's ebbs and flows to this business. And like we were talking about, sometimes, you're saying Nicole, sometimes she doesn't make the 20 phone calls. Sometimes I don't make 5.
Right.
Sometimes are just harder than others. So what I try to do is take care of my body the best and my mind the best so that I can be the most successful in my free time. I also like to play poker and I like to drive cars fast and I like adrenaline a lot, but I get adrenaline from the deals, so I
Yeah.
focused on that aspect of it more than
Yeah.
anything else. But yeah, I don't know.
You ever
Play
jumped out of a
poker.
plane?
Yeah, a bunch of times. But
Really?
Yeah, my
Oh
fear with it is though,
God.
it's
That's
a volume
crazy.
game. You know? I also
do you
ride
mean?
dirt bikes, but I have to get rid of those too because I keep thinking like I'm just gonna die on this thing, and
Yeah.
that would suck
go
for
too
how
fast.
hard I worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
no.
be so pissed.
Yeah.
That would not be good.
I would be so
That
mad.
not
But
be
you get
good.
adrenaline from closing deals and like.
Yeah, that's what I get from
So-
driving cars fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the other questions I wanted to ask you, so we're like a part of a team, right? I created like a family business environment.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you have like this family environment with your, people that you
yeah.
look up to, and do you have your own company?
No.
where I'm-
So Bob is the Bob Safai owns Madison Residential.
Okay.
He's founded Madison Partners, which is the commercial division,
Mm-hmm.
30 years ago, and that's really what the core of his business is. And then he brought me in a couple of years ago, and he started Madison Residential, and he's the broker, and I do the business for the residential end. And I have a couple people working with us that take care of more of the transaction side. And at this point in my career, I'm really just focusing my attention on developing the relationships and serving clients' best needs and continuing to grow that because I don't want to put a cart before the horse. I don't think if you do so, I don't think you'll get as far in the long run. So yeah, I work under Bob, the best position I could be in, and I'm very grateful for them.
Yeah, that's incredible. Now, does Bob do any charity, or like right now we're working with a bunch of charities?
Yeah.
It's important for me once I started getting really busy, I noticed that I needed to give back,
Yeah.
right?
So we
Yeah.
give back to the
So we're-
battered woman shelter.
yeah.
We work with Buddha Bowling and.
Which
you
is
know.
coming up. You should
Yeah, you
definitely
should
go.
come. Friday,
What is this?
Buddha
It's-
Bowling event. I'm gonna send you a ticket. You're gonna go.
Buddha Bowling?
Yeah.
Yes, it's an
What is this-
event
what is
for
this? I'm down. Let's
It's
do it.
that
a
got
charity
bullied.
event.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you have to dress up in Halloween, which I absolutely hate, but I'm doing it. And
I don't feel like you hate it.
I hate costumes.
She's not a costume. Person.
Really?
No, I like to dress up. But
Do you
not
like? Do you like to
costumes.
dress up for Halloween?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Exactly.
Delete
No,
the
No,
thing
no.
then.
Yeah, I wear the most simple clothes
But
there
it's,
is, you know.
it's really actually. We just had an actress on.
Yeah. Her name. Do you know who Cassie Casey
Skirb-
Skirbo is? She was on Bring It On and just like a bunch of different movies, but she's now the vice president of Buddha Bowling.
And they're really, really helping people that these kids at schools that are getting bullied, and
And she talks about, this is something I found interesting. She talked about how like bowling is not just like being in school. It's like kind of like, your parents, or like for me, I was sexually assaulted. Like there's so many different types of like bullying that happens.
Yeah.
So going to support this foundation is so big for us,
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
love to
So
join.
we'll definitely,
You'll
definitely
send you a ticket. So yeah, it's really fun. So
That's a good time. I'd love to join.
yeah, definitely.
So how do you give back?
Yeah, I've been involved with El Nido Family Centers for a couple of years.
Okay.
They're a really big organization based in Los Angeles that helps the underprivileged youth.
Okay.
So
That's amazing.
I've done some stuff with Make-A-Wish before, but it's too big of a corporate entity for me. I really would rather just impact a kid than
Yeah.
Right.
like you change a couple of kids' lives. That's way more impactful to me than sending a couple $1,000.
Well,
100%.
when I first started doing the battered women shelter, they come off the streets, kind of like your story, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're sober. So the mother's sober, and they have like the
they deal with, like,
15-year-old kid.
Drug
remember?
problems, yeah.
And her first staging was dealing with a girl that was probably, 20 years old, and she had, or I don't know, how old was she? Maybe 30.
Maybe 30,
and she had
something.
like a 12-year-old son.
Yeah.
And I gave her an award and said, if you can stay sober, I will
Furnish
stage your apartment.
house, yeah.
And she called and she stayed sober, and she actually moved out of the battered women shelter to an apartment, and that was Nicole's first staging.
no way.
Yeah.
Wow,
Which
that
is-
is really
Yeah.
cool.
It was crazy and really full circle for me because I'm sober.
Yeah.
And to just like see how you can impact someone's life, even like through work or through whatever it is, just like that little thing, it's just like, it makes it worth it. I don't know.
No,
For me,
totally.
yeah.
And you were newly sober, too.
Yeah, I was newly sober.
She was like, what, Mom? And then you were like, wow, that was really cool. I got to really connect with her.
Nicole, you're like 23, right?
Yeah.
So you
And
just
you're 23?
yeah. Did you 24 now? But
Oh,
did you
right.
did you struggle with sobriety before?
Yeah, so I was like a drug addict, so
No
I can
way.
like relate to your story in different ways, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dealt with
In
like
college.
Yeah, when I went to University of Arizona, I got heavily like involved with like Adderall, pretty much anything I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
And it really led me down a bad path, and I got sexually assaulted by like 3 of my close guy friends, and then I overdosed because they put fentanyl in my water.
No
and then
way.
I woke up and I overdosed, and my mom actually came to visit me that day. So she found me and took me to the hospital and took me home, and I didn't really know what was going on at the time, and I just went to a lot of therapy, and I'm really grateful to have parents that were able to send me to therapy. But yeah, I just started working, and I think work is like what kind of got me to like, I don't know, just enjoy life again and like really.
It was a
really-
nightmare.
I couldn't imagine.
Nightmare. Of course, I'm there.
I couldn't imagine the wrath of Sam if that's
Oh,
going on.
I was like, I was calling her. I'm like, why the hell isn't she picking up the phone? For some reason, she picked up the phone, rolled out of the cabin. I was like, what the hell's wrong with you? And I was like, oh my God. And my dog was like sitting next to her. I'm like, that's it. And when we rolled up to the hospital, I remember there was all these people. I busted through all of them. I'm like, my daughter's ODing. I didn't even know if she was or not, but I was like, she's ODing. Get her in. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
really
why
glad
we
you're
started
okay.
this podcast.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because we started to, tell our story.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we're really grateful, and and through all of it, we've learned so much about ourselves, about people that work with us, and about business, and everyone has a story. That's the thing.
But that's why I think it's so inspiring.
Yeah.
That you came from a house with like people who are on drugs, and like, I was also like.
And that you didn't get into drugs,
and you didn't turn to drugs. I find that like incredible, because I know a lot of people have been in that situation and they go the opposite way. They turn to drugs, they end up on the streets, but not working on the streets. They end up on the streets, like living on the streets, just not doing anything and doing drugs.
Yeah,
so you
well
really
done.
turned your life around.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's another portion. I've seen that go through everybody in my family. That everybody that I'm biologically related to have all fallen victims of that.
Yeah.
And I think they're all losers pretty much. I mean, like I don't know, I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
They all made their own bed and they can lie in it now, but I just did not want to be in the same bed.
Yeah.
And I didn't share this with you guys, but my mom's in prison for life for beating us up when we were younger.
Wow.
Yeah, and she went to prison for life for 60 years to life about 2 years ago.
Oh wow.
Because we had younger siblings and we didn't want them to go through what we went through.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 7 in total, but the 3 that were living with her at the time is why she went to prison. And we told her, you either give me care of my younger siblings, or we could call the police. And we gave her 6 months, and she kept saying no. And then we called the cops. And then she got, because of COVID, it delayed the trial, but then she got sentenced to 60 years to life.
And have you spoken to her since?
Hell no.
Yeah.
I mean, last time I saw her was when I testified at a trial.
Wow.
And then they read the
like?
verdict, and then I get a chance to say whatever I want. And I started bawling,
Wow.
just walked out of the courtroom. It was so bad.
That's insane.
So not chill.
And how do your siblings deal with it?
Well, the younger siblings who we didn't want, like, we were worried that they'd grow up and kill themselves. Like, I have no control over them. They're 8 and 9 now.
Yeah.
And she was doing stuff that you guys wouldn't even, I can't even talk about on a podcast, you know?
Yeah.
So it goes beyond physical abuse, and that's just, we made our own decision to do what we had to do. And
Well, great. I mean that's
it's so
amazing.
incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to me, but it's like at the same time, so how do I feel about people who do that stuff? I just think they're losers.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? If something like that is happening to you guys out there, you can be the best person you can. Look, you're a prime example.
Yeah.
That is
So
just amazing. You're such an inspiration.
Thank you.
Yeah, seriously. I'm
Thank
so
you.
grateful
So,
to have you here.
I can't even tell you, when she said, let's have him on, I was like, definitely.
Well, right when I met you, I was like, you have to be on the podcast.
I'm
When
glad you
told
guys
me that
had me.
story, I was like, wait, what?
I know.
I wouldn't have guessed that, to be honest.
I don't think
like,
anybody,
I mean,
no
you
one
walk
does.
into that, how much was that house worth?
It's probably worth 12, 15
Like, we're
million
standing in a
bucks.
$15 million home. You're all dressed up, and like, I don't know, you just don't expect that. And it's cool to hear. It's like humbling, and it's, it's really inspiring.
Yeah, and if Alex is watching this podcast, it's 22 million bucks.
20
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow, Brian, it's been such a pleasure to have you on.
Thank
I
you.
do want to end it with like, what is your goals coming up for this next year?
Definitely.
Well, I mean, I don't know. My broker really taught me not to say things out loud, like say personal number
don't
goals
have
out
to.
loud.
No, it doesn't.
So
have to be
for what
number.
my goals are is
Self,
to have the
whatever you want.
biggest year for my business and help myself I still have like nightmares and stuff that I'm trying to work through, and like that, you know, they don't come too often, but I sleepwalk. I'm trying to figure out how to stop doing that. It's not cool when you wake up outside freaking out.
I'm gonna set you up with someone after this, but that's
okay. Yeah, so my goals are to really just continue to take the best care of myself and build relationships that are lifelong, and you know, nurture the ones that I still have.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
it's incredible.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This is super fun.
And you are listening to Brian Lane. He
follow
is
him.
an
And what is your Instagram? How can people follow you?
BrianLane.re. BrianLane.re.
So any of you 27-year-olds that want to buy a house, who do they call?
Brian Lane.
There you go. So don't
or
forget.
If you want to know anything about real estate, he's the one to go to.
And if you want to stage, call us.
Yeah, I got the best stagers. I'll refer them.
Well,
thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.